For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Diane Celius, and I'm a physical therapist and a practice owner as well. I actually started my practice in 1994, grew it, sold it 4 years ago. I'm still a 25% partner, but sold it 4 years ago for double-digit millions of dollars. And the only reason why I tell you that is just to give a little bit of credibility to I've been through a lot of what you've been through or what you're going through. All of our practices are just a little bit different, right? Which is totally fine. But we come across and deal with a lot of the same things. And so my passion now, and most of it I do for free, is that I really just want to make your journey an easier one. I really, truly, truly do. I want to inspire and motivate you. I want to cheer you on. It's a hard thing to be a practice owner. I don't have to tell you that. But it's really just anything that any information I have, any experiences that I have that I can lend to you with some advice, just my opinion for you to think with. That is what I'm here for. I love to hook you up with all things free, right? Everybody likes something free, but I also want to caution you about free, right? Like free is a good thing and it's a little nugget and it's a little tip. It lets us know, maybe validates us we're going in the right direction, but free may not be exactly where what you need to push your potential and get you where you need to go. So stay open-minded to continuing to build into yourself that know-how and don't just go after what's free because often this time that's the information that's the highest quality or those things that are not free, right? They're not going to give away the highest quality, most important things for free. But free leads you to people that think like you, people that they're just your people. And when you think a lot alike the content leaders that are giving you information for free, maybe it'll attract you to that next step and that next step. And really, that's the goal. So I want to make sure everybody is hooked up to our POPPEE page. So our POPPEE Facebook page, I'm guessing you're all hooked up to it because if you weren't, you probably wouldn't have known about the bloom. So I'm going to go ahead and post a bunch of links here so that everybody has everything. This is the POPPEE page. So for those of you that are not already on it, join it, but you have to answer all the questions. If you don't answer the questions, don't even try to join. It's very frustrating because it wastes a bunch of people's time, not mine, trying to figure out if you're a robot, right? So in this world of robots, you have to answer the questions. So give up your direct information, join the group. But here's the thing about joining a Facebook group. Facebook groups, in order to be successful, need interaction. I'm sorry, Erin, you hear me say this over and over and over again. You could say this part for me, but I have to repeat it because we're not getting enough of it. So in this POPPEE group, in order for this group to be successful, people need to post, people need to like, and people need to comment on the post. So let's get interactive in this group and let's make sure this group is serving our needs in order that it can inspire and motivate and fill us with more information. So we have a responsibility to do that to the group in order that it is a successful group filling our own needs. And I'm posting 5 days a week. So I hope you're seeing those posts and trying to put posts there that are meaningful to you. So on that regard, if anybody can post in the chat, what do we need our post to be about? What are you confronting right now? What barriers? What topics? Is it new patients? Is it recruiting? Is it rehiring? Is it credentialing? Is it, I can only do so much in a post, right? And I'll do my best. But if there's certain topics, even just communication, time management, documentation, whatever that is, hiring, I hear you. I'll do my best. There is a search function in this Facebook group, and go back and search words like hiring and recruiting. And there's a lot of posts on it, but I'll keep the posts coming because it's nonstop, something that we need to work on. So anyway, Bloom topics. If you have ideas for Bloom topics, put those in the chat, but put Bloom topic colon and then the topic. Otherwise, I might think you want to post. And I certainly appreciate you sharing with me what's top of mind for you because I want to give you back what you're interested in. And that's how we steal and exchange these ideas. I also want to make sure that you are all aware of and in the Lemonade Library. So the Lemonade Library, I'm going to post in the chat. Kind of the bummer is if anybody joins late, you don't see my previous posts. So that's always a bummer, but I'll try to repost things as I have time. But the Lemonade Library, so on every other Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, there was one this Wednesday, so the next one is October 1st. We have a webinar like this one, but they're kind of higher level topics. You may or may not be interested in them, but we believe that some of them might be important to you. And so join the Lemonade Library, and you can search things like recruiting and front desk and scheduling and whatever. And there will be free, tons of them, webinars for you. So take advantage of learning this know-how. It's free. Why wouldn't you take advantage of it? But please answer all the questions or you won't be admitted. So if you've applied before and you weren't admitted, you didn't answer the questions. That's on you. The other thing I want to make sure everybody knows is coming up in October, there is an in-person convention. Now, if you know me at all, you know I'm a big fan of in-person conventions. One, because I'm there. And if I'm there, I think it's important. And I want you to be there so I can meet you in person. So I'm a big fan of networking. And I'm going to give you, here's the information on the in-person convention, second weekend in October in New Orleans, Louisiana. But even if the topics aren't motivating to you, you need to come and you need to network with other practices. Having that network around you is going to support you, it's going to motivate you, it's going to let you know you're not alone, and you're going to steal and exchange emails and phone numbers. I've also asked you guys to do this on the POPPEE page. Some of you have. Well done. Some of you have not. It was cool to see, like, whoever the gal was that's from Texas, two people immediately said that they're from Texas. So right there, she has two people in her network. Guys, reach for a network. There are owners out there, not your competitor that's down the street. There are owners out there that want to build into you just like you want to build into them. And you want to support each other. So you need a network in your state and you need a network outside of your state. Please go after it. The next thing I want to tell you about is a workshop series that's coming up called Foundation. I'm really excited about this. I want you to get excited about it too. Here's the information. Now, this one's not free, by the way. It's not that much. It's a couple $100 for each one of these. There's 3 different workshops. They're the first 3 Fridays in November. Now, let me tell you why this is important to you. The first one on Friday, November 7th, is all about writing your job descriptions, or we call them hats. Writing your hats, writing your job descriptions. You need your job descriptions written, even for positions you don't yet have, because you will soon. And you need to define all the roles that you are holding, so at which time you can afford, or you've grown big enough to hire for one of those positions, you have it defined. So writing your job descriptions, that is Friday, November 7th. Virtual, these are virtual. Then on Friday, November 14th, we're going to learn how to write bonuses. First, you have to have your job descriptions written before you can write a bonus. At least that's how I teach it. And you can afford to bonus. Now, if you are a one-man band, that's okay, because you want to learn how to bonus before you have an employee. Bonusing drives profitability. It drives employee growth in the direction you want it to grow, but it drives profitability, and you need to have profitability, a little bit of income coming in order to have employees. Then the third Friday, November 21st, is called the Ladder Program. This is a program that teaches you how to internally train your team to grow. It might train them to grow into leaders if that's what you're looking for, but it also trains them to grow into problem solvers, better time managers, better mentors of students and interns and new hires, just better employees, right? So we need our employees to know where they can grow in our company. I had people leave my company to say, I didn't know where I could grow. And this ladder program takes care of that. So you want all this infrastructure in place before you grow, but for sure as you grow. So trying to bring things to you that are free, that are very affordable, so that you can build into yourself to make sure that you have the tools you need to be successful in your company. Lastly, another free thing that I want to introduce to you is something I've put together called Owner to Owner Practice Review. I just posted it this week in the Facebook page, so I hope you saw it. But I'm doing these things completely free called Owner to Owner Practice Reviews. Now, I've sort of done it with you already, Allison. I've done it with you already, Erin, in that we jumped on a phone call and we just chatted about your practice. We chatted about you, we chatted about your practice. I did my best to share with you any tips or tricks I had, and I hope some of those were valuable and led you in the right direction. But it's just jumping on a phone call with me to chat about you and your practice and any tips or tricks I might have to build into you. I'm going to go through every division of a practice. We're going to talk about the clinic. We're going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about hiring, recruiting, onboarding, training your team. We're going to talk about scheduling and getting patients to actually come in, like all things to do with your practice. And we're going to look for holes in your practice. Actually, we want to find them, right? But anything that isn't a hole, I'm going to recognize and celebrate you and make sure you do the same, because often as owners, we don't. But then when we find holes, we're going to chat about them together and see if we can come up with some solutions for your practice. These are only my opinions. You can do with them what you want. You can throw them away. You can hang up on me. But what I'm saying is I hope I'm going to have a tip or trick. And Erin and Allison, if you found it valuable, maybe share in the chat. But I hope I've had a tip and a trick that just inspired you, motivated, or led you in a direction that pushed your practice forward. That's a win for me. I celebrate that. I thank you for giving me any time and anything I can do to inspire you. So go to the Calendly and see if there's a time that matches you, and we'll get on the phone and we'll chat. Completely free. I love to do it. Okay, so Bloom, thank you for being here. I'm really excited. I love these topics. I love that Bloom is a small group. I hope you guys are interactive. Thanks, Allison, for your compliments. But I hope you're interactive either in the chat. You're welcome to unmute at any time. But this Bloom is for us. Right now, it's the third Friday of every month. I'm starting to get a little challenge, though, because I have these virtual workshops coming up that are going to interrupt Bloom. So I might have to change the day and time. So if you have a different day and time, thanks, Erin, that is convenient for you, probably not the weekend, because I really don't want to give that time up. But if you have a different day and time that's good for you, put it in the chat. And that way, if I have to reschedule a Bloom versus cancel it, I'll know what works for you. And what's important was what works for you, because you guys are here. So, and I definitely keep those topics going. If a new topic comes up as we're chatting, put Bloom topic, colon, and put the topic in the chat, and I'll be able to see it later. Okay, now let's get on to this topic. We are going to talk about how you can afford to hire a full-time therapist. Now, I pay all my therapist salary, and I'm a big believer in that. So no disrespect if you pay differently, I get it. But my conversation is going to be directing you towards a salaried therapist. And I'm even going to explain why. So if I could just ask you for the grace of being open-minded to paying a therapist salary. We're just going to chat about it a little bit today. And I don't pretend to know all the answers. I'm definitely not an accountant and I'm definitely not a lawyer, but I have learned along the way through error mostly. And I'm hoping you don't learn through error, why salary makes the most sense for me. Now, every state's different. My practice is in Ohio. So you might have different laws and rules in your state that make what I say not the best for your state. That's okay. I'm going to fill you with information. Maybe you'll just ask more questions in your state and make sure that you're heading in the right direction for your practice in your state. Feel my throat getting raspy already. All right. So let's talk this through and let's see what we come up with. Number one is you truly have to understand the competitors in your area. Who surrounds you that are competing for the same therapists that you are competing for? Now, something I've learned when I've chatted with practice owners is they often get frustrated with the quality of the applicant. And I can sort of agree with you a little bit, but what I will have to say is if you are a fantastic owner, you can take most, I'm emphasizing that word, most therapists and train them up. In order to become a therapist, you have to be pretty goal-oriented, right? You've got to be pretty tenacious to be willing to take on this debt. I mean, maybe your parents paid for your college, but you still had to go through a lot of schooling, and it's not easy to get where you are. That is a certain type of person that can get through that, right? And that's the kind of person that if we're a really good owner, we can probably train them, motivate, and inspire them. Remember, I said most. So find a little bit about this person and their background, and even what kind of household maybe they grew up in. Obviously, you have to be super careful what questions you ask in an interview, but people are really willing to share. Like, tell me what you're comfortable sharing about your family and what led you to choose to become a therapist. Whatever you're comfortable sharing, because what you're not comfortable sharing, of course, that's fine. I just really want to know who motivated you? Who inspired you? And often you're going to find out it was someone in the household, right? It could have been someone outside the household. Totally, totally happens. But you need to really find out where they get their inspiration and their motivation. And this is just the core of a person and lets you know what you can train up. Now, you need to be really good at asking questions in an interview that talk about productivity standards. Although I don't like to use the word productivity, I talk about number of children we can help in the community versus productivity. But you need to dig into that. You need to dig into culture standards. Like if we have a standard in the group, for example, documentation needs to be done by noon the next day for everything, whatever your policy is, that's what ours is. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about somebody holding you to a standard so that the whole group is held to the same standard, right? So as you can see, I mean, this is not a topic on interviews, but we can have one. Put it in the chat if you'd like it. But you need to find out if you can be open-minded to hiring more of the people coming through because hiring is hard. But I digress. Back to what I was talking about. Who are the competitors for the talent around you? You need to spend some time, and this could be years, truly getting to know your competitors. Now, this isn't always easy, but it's valuable. So here's how I believe that you get to know them. First, you can go to their website. That's easy, that's free. And you find out what services do they offer. Do they offer the same services as you? That's how you determine if they're a competitor, right? Do they offer the same services as you? Now, let's say they offer speech only and you offer all three. Right there, you can use that when interviewing, that you have a holistic approach, that your speech therapist can learn from OT and PT, that your speech therapist can internally refer to your practice and their patients get everything handled there. Now, no disrespect to anybody that doesn't offer three. I'm just saying, teaching you how to discriminate between you and your competitor and how to promote yourself to the talent, right? So you have to understand how you're different than your competitor and how you can better meet the talent's needs by what you offer. How do they pay their therapists, your competitors? Now, this is tricky, right? It's not on their website, but the way you usually find this out is when their employees apply for a position at your office. Very valuable. Whether you like that employee or not, you have a lot to learn from them about who they currently work for or who they resigned from. Or if you have somebody moving into the area or a new grad that is interviewing at you and your competitors, you have a lot of information to learn from them about pay structure. Because you ask that, you say, I'm sure you're interviewing elsewhere. Tell me about what you have found to be valuable. And they'll share something. Well, I really like how, usually they'll tell you how so and so does this. And if they don't tell you, say, oh, that's interesting. That's really neat. Who does that? Just ask more questions, pull that string, and find out about your competitors. This is very valuable, and it takes years to get this right. Do they offer, first we just talked about pay scale, like how do they pay, okay? Do they offer a benefit package? And if so, what's that look like? Find out as much as you can. If you have actually hired somebody from a competitor, they'll tell you everything because they like you better than they like them right now. Anyway, I hope it stays that way. Whole nother Bloom conversation, right? Retention. But they'll tell you everything about their benefit package. Do they have 401k? What's their match? How much did they pay on insurance? They'll tell you everything. And it's very, very valuable. Now, be very careful on how you ask those questions. It speaks to who you are, and that you're really just trying to create the best package for the team here that's just as competitive, or I would argue more competitive than what your competitors are offering. Okay. And then what are their productivity standards? Remember, I don't like that word. It's kind of a dirty word in our field. But what are their standards when it comes to their culture? How long do you have to get a note done? How long do you have to get an eval done? How many patients do they expect you to see in a week? for a full-time therapist, prorated for part-time. You need to know about your competitors so that you are able to afford to put together a very competitive package and attract the right therapist. That's part of being able to afford a full-time therapist, is understanding the community and the cost to provide services in your community. Now, an owner can't have fear. I will argue with you, and I'd love to, I'll say debate it, that fear is lack of know-how. I promise you, it truly is what it is. If you fear paying somebody a full-time salary, and I'm kind of jumping ahead in my communication today, most of the time it's because you fear you can't afford to pay them. You fear you can't afford to fill their schedule. Well, that's nothing on them, that's on you. You as the owner have not yet gotten the know-how of how to PR and market your company so that you have floods of new business. Now, let's say you don't take insurance, and that's a big barrier for you getting floods of new business. Well, do you not take insurance because you don't know how to get credentialed, you don't know how to do contracting, you don't know how to negotiate a contract? I would argue it goes back to know-how. Do you not take insurance because it's easier to get paid cash? Well, I get it, but maybe sell sweaters. I always say that, sorry, redundant on my example, because we are in an insurance dominated field. I would argue that if you needed a new dentist, the first thing you're going to do is go to your dental policy and see who is an in-network provider. My husband just went to a new dentist this week. That's exactly what he did. He did not Google dentist near me. Now, after he found out who was in network, then he did Google dentist near me and he compared to find out who was closest and who was in network. So people pay a lot of money for these insurance policies. They want to use them. Now, there are some people that have the finances to pay out of pocket. That is great, and they should have that opportunity. But it keeps your practice small, which is okay. Maybe you want to be small, but it is a barrier to new patients, right? So I just want you to think of barriers that you might be putting in front of yourself because of lack of know-how. Now, I'm happy to connect you to the know-how. I am happy to connect you to know-how. And, I'll actually go and share it right now. I'm going to share with you my contact information. It's my email and my cell phone number, and you are always welcome to reach out to me. And I always say, if you do reach out to me, please tell me who you are. And please tell me you're a POPPEE or from Peds-A-PALOOZA, because I had somebody messaging me on Facebook, and they said, I've messaged you multiple times, you never responded. Come to find out, I actually thought he was a robot. Like the way his communication came through, I didn't know where he was from. And we get so much of it. Please identify who you are. Like I was on your Bloom webinar, right then you're going to get a response from me, right? Okay. So understand your competitors' pay package, their compensation package, their productivity standards. And the best way you find it out is by looking at their website and then talking to therapists that have come and gone from their practice or currently interviewing with their practice. That is the best way to find that out. Takes a lot of time. It's valuable information. It's worth your time, energy, and effort to do it. But realize that they're asking those questions, if they're smart, about you as well. So your packages are getting out there as well, and we've got to over time continue to make sure that our packages are competitive with our market. And then as owners, we've got to make sure that our practices are producing in order that we have enough profitability to be able to pay these salaries that are crazy, absolutely crazy, and the benefits that are crazy too, right? So your practice has to produce, and I would argue it has to bonus, because that's the number one way that got my production just skyrocketing, was bonuses. So at least learn how. Be open-minded enough to learn how, and consider if whatever I say you can adapt and apply to your practice, whatever it is, because I need you to get your practice producing so you can afford to hire therapists and pay them a competitive salary with a package of benefits that are expensive as well. So therapists, they're really hard to find. I'm looking at my notes. Sorry. It's on a second screen when you see me looking up to the side. Therapists are hard to find. I talked to a practice in North Dakota. I hope you're in North Dakota because they don't have trouble finding therapists apparently. But if we're not in North Dakota, which I'm not, we have trouble finding therapists. We do. And we used to not hire assistants because you get a 20% reduction in their reimbursement. And now we hire assistants because we're having trouble finding therapists, and we've had to get really good at training and mentoring these assistants and accept a lesser pay. So that stinks, and we like the higher pay, so we want to attract the best therapists. Do not make the fact that you cannot or will not pay competitively or have a competitive benefit package the reason why you're not getting and attracting the best talent. Just learn how, okay? And you're here to do that. So let's get on with it. I'm going to present the argument that you might say, I can't afford to pay salary. I just can't. If their schedule's not full, I can't pay them for a full schedule. And I'm going to argue with you, what's the better word? I'm going to present altering information that you can't afford not to pay a therapist salary for your culture and for your profitability. So let's get into it. The real problem, I believe, is that you fear that you can't fill their schedule. And if you think that you have a different problem, put it in the chat. But I think the real problem, why you want to pay per hour or pay per contract, contracted like 1099. I only pay you if you treat a therapist, is because you fear that you can't fill their schedule. Plus, taking on payroll with taxes and all that's scary. Again, lack of know-how. So again, it's all fear. Fear from you, fear from you. Fear equals lack of know-how. Get the know-how, there's no fear. Let me give you a great example. I always use the same example, so sorry. You're 16. You're afraid to drive a car. You knew it was coming, right, Erin? You're 16. You're afraid to drive a car. You know why? Or 15. Because you don't know how. I will venture to guess you are no longer afraid to drive a car, right? You know how. You get behind the wheel every day. You're not afraid of it. You know how. Same thing with running a practice. It was pretty hard to learn how to drive a car. It's pretty scary. You have other people's lives, whether they're in your car or outside of your car, in your hands. Same thing with the therapy practice. Learn how. Don't let fear prevent you from getting a driver's license. Don't let fear prevent you from taking your practice probably where it needs to go to grow in the way that you can attract the right talent and grow to offer the help you want to in your community. Now, I didn't say how big you had to grow. I didn't say how fast you had to grow. Just you have to grow. If you hire a therapist, you have to grow because you have to fill them, right? And so you can't be afraid of growth. You just have to get the know-how. So go after it. Marketing is a lack of know-how. There is a bloom, and I've posted it in the Facebook group, so go look for it on social media. I wish I had it here, but if you want it, text me, I'll find it for you. But it was all about what should I post on social media? Social media is free. You should be building your social media. You should be building new followers all the time. You should be posting content that's valuable. Look at what I do in the POPPEE page. I am trying to be a living example to you. If you find what I'm posting is valuable and it sends you back to periodically check on the POPPEE page to see what else I posted that might be helpful to you, are you doing that on your page? We could have a whole nother bloom on it, but there is a bloom on what to post on your social media. So find it or text me and I will get you it if you can't find it. But learn how to market, learn how to build relationships in the community. Marketing is not sales. I do not like sales. Marketing is relationship development. As therapists, we love that. We love people. We love to build relationships. So get out in the community and build those relationships. And if you need more information about that, we can do a bloom topic. Just let me know. But there are lots of webinars in the Lemonade library on marketing. Go look at that to get some know-how, but let's get you better at marketing and you won't be afraid to fill that schedule. There's even webinars. I think we did a bloom on how to fill the schedule between 9 and 3. I think it was our second one we did. Again, I can try and find it for you. If you can't find it yourself, go into the Lemonade library. I know there's one in there. But how to fill the schedule during the day. It's hard during the school year for some of us. Some of us it's not. And really, truly just learn how and go after it, and you'll be able to fill that therapist. So let's do a little bit of math. I'm going to prove to you that you can afford with math, to hire a therapist. Now, you may not have all these numbers I'm going to ask you to take a look at, and that's okay. What I want you to do is just write down that you need to go find this number because I'm going to give you an example with generic numbers. But then I want you to go back and plug in your own numbers because that's the only way you're going to prove to yourself that you can hire a full-time therapist. So first you need to know, what is your average revenue per visit? Average revenue per visit. Now, Allison, I know you have a different paradigm. You might need to do average revenue per hour, however you want to do it for yourself. But look at your practice and what's your average revenue per visit, right? And it doesn't matter if you do OT, PT, and speech, you can do it across all three disciplines. That's how I do it, across all three disciplines. I make it simple. Not a mathematician. I keep things simple. But if you want to figure it out, like if you want to figure out what is my average revenue per visit for speech, okay, do that. What's my average revenue per visit for OT? What's my average for PT? You can do it per discipline, and then you're going to apply this math we're going to go over to that discipline. When you're hiring, if you're hiring PT, you're going to use the average revenue per visit for PT. So I hope this is making sense to you. Lisa, I do see your question. I hope to get to it. Okay, so let's say, just to keep things super simple, okay, let's say that your average revenue per visit is $100. Now I'm keeping the number super simple so that we all understand the equation. Let's say your average revenue per visit is $100. Okay. Now, let's say, and don't laugh at me, I'm in Ohio. Let's say you pay a therapist $70,000. I wish it was $70. $70,000 per year. This is a new grad. $70,000 per year. Okay, write this down because it's my example. You have to follow it. What that is per week. So I took 70,000 and I divided by 52 weeks in a year. What that is $1,346.15. $1,346.15. I'm going to say it one more time. $1,346.15 per week. Allison's already doing the math. She knows where I'm going with this. Okay, that's what the weekly salary is, right? Okay, so if you take that 1,346.15 and you divide it by your average revenue per visit, so you divide it by $100 in this example, they have to see 13.4, which that doesn't exist, so 14 patients per week. 14 patients per week for you to break even on their salary. Now, that's only their salary. I know there's other expenses, okay? So we're keeping it simple for now. That is their salary. Is there anyone that did not follow me? Is there any, if you want me to repeat it, ask me to repeat it, because this is crucial that you understand this. Okay, we're all on the same page. Fantastic. So we can agree in this example, yours is going to be tweaked, that this person, a full-time therapist, thank you, only has to see 14 out. Now these are hours, 14 patients a week, 14 hours. If your speech is 30 minutes, I would have them see 2 visits, so 28 visits a week, right? So just keeping it simple. Okay, 14 patients should be pretty easy for you to get on a full-time therapist, okay? They're giving you 8 to 4:30 or 9 to 5:30 preferably, so we can get some after-school times in there, right? They're giving you 40 hours and you only have to fill 14. Now, I will beg to differ. Like when you plug in your numbers, it might be 16 for you, but it's going to be in the teens. I'm pretty sure it's in the teens. If not, we need to chat. But I'm pretty sure it's in the teens. Mine is actually 16. I have to get 16 per week. But it's not that many. It's not that many. Now let's talk about, there's going to be some other expenses. You can add 3 or 4 visits onto that to account for some benefits that you're going to add in. You can make the math complicated and figure out the benefits too and add it all in. And the challenge with adding in benefits is some people take your health insurance, some people don't. Some people are individual plans, some people are family. So I just kept it simple and I worked off salary. And then I knew they're not going to see 14 visits a week. I'm better than that. They're not going to see 14 visits a week. Okay, so what are you going to do with the rest of this time, right? So anything over 14 in our example is profit. In our example. We're keeping it general here. Now, we want our therapists, when I talk to owners, it's somewhere between 27 and 34 visits per week that owners land in their productivity standard. I would beg to differ. 27 is too low. I would think 30, 34, maybe too high. But it seems to be between 27 and 34 visits per week. These are hour visits. So let's use OT, PT, double it if your speech is 30 minutes. You can work out your own numbers. But we need to get them somewhere between 27 and 34. I'm just using the range because I know everybody's different. That's a lot of time. From 14 to 34 is 20 hours. That's a lot of time you have to mess with. Now, first and foremost, I want you to put patients in there. That's what we want them to do. We want them to see patients. Now, I would beg that we allow 15% of our therapist time to be documentation planning. That's our formula. 15% of their time, 6 hours a week for a full-time therapist for us, 12 hours, or yeah, 6 hours a week. So 12, well, I'm not going to get into that. I was going to share what our speech is because speech is 30 minutes, but I'm just going to keep it OTPT just to keep it simple. So 15% of the times, and I say 15% because if they work 20 hours, it's still 15% of their time. It's just all prorated, right? So 6 hours for planning and documentation. Now, be aware that they're going to get cancels and no-shows above that 6 hours that we've already blocked. They're going to get cancels and no-shows. You can go backwards and prove to your therapist that 100% of the time, I will say 99% of the time, they get cancels and no-shows. I almost really do want to say 100%, but there's going to be that 1 week in 1 year where everybody comes. Rarely happens, but it'll happen. But for the most part, you're going to get additional cancel no-show time for planning and documentation, right? So there's plenty of hours left over for these therapists to build into your company. Now, building into your company, adding a therapist to your culture is part of your interview process. Yes, Lisa, I'm going to address what if they're already on staff. So it's part of your interview process. And here's what I say when I interview someone. I say, look, tell me about your ideal patient. If you could pick the ideal patient for your schedule, tell me what that would look like. Now, some people say, oh, I love to treat all ages and all diagnoses. Great. We've got that, all ages and all diagnoses. And I always, again, use myself as an example. I love to treat Down syndrome that are preschoolers, children with Down syndrome that are under the age of 3, my favorite. So you want to get to that niche therapist. Now, I'm not saying we only want niche therapists. I'm just saying that if somebody is a jack of all trades, great. You don't have to do anything special but fill their schedule, right? With anyone that comes in the door. But when you have somebody, I'm a feeding therapist, I like Down syndrome, I like autism, I like whatever, you want to know, what can I do as an owner to fill your patient with 100% of the kids that you love to see? If in the ideal scene, I could fill your schedule with 100% of the kids you like to see, you would love getting up every day and coming to work and helping 100% preschoolers under the age of 3. But the reality is we're going to get a mishmash of some patients, but I'm going to try to make sure that the majority of your schedule are children that you love to see. Now, here's where I need your help. When I'm trying to decide in this interview, if you are interested and willing to be part of that community. And I'm just going to continue on my Down syndrome therapist example. So you shared with me that you love to help children with Down syndrome. They're the cutest, aren't they? They're stubborn, they're adorable, they're just cuddly. They love hugs, they love to dance, they're just something else. And I share that enthusiasm with you. I love that community as well. So well done. And what I've done in myself, and I'm talking to this therapist, is I've immersed myself into the Down syndrome community. Now you can extrapolate this autism community, feeding community, whatever it is, preschoolers, kindergartners, school-age kids, whatever it is. What I've done is I've become a part of every one of the Facebook groups. There are so many out there. There's Down syndrome dads, there's Down syndrome parents, there's Down syndrome moms, there's the Cincinnati Association of Down Syndrome, there's the Dayton, these are all around me, Association. I mean, we have so many different groups out there that support this community that I love. And I've become a member of these groups and I interact. I learn what's challenging them, and I do everything in my power to connect them to help, whether it's me or someone I know. And then they have so many events. The Down syndrome community has so many events. And I attend as many of them as I can so that they know my name and they know my face and they know how I love this community so much. I'm present there. And I now have a name in that community. So they call up and they say, my kiddo has Down syndrome. I need to be on Diane's schedule. And this is how I fill your schedule. We fill your schedule with those children that you love to treat. So in your interview process, okay, done with the communication of the therapist, back to you guys. In the interview, you are trying to get an understanding of how much they want to immerse themselves in the community of the kids that they want to treat and how willing they are to take moral and ethical responsibility for their professional license, that you have the content and you're willing to share it. Now, this is where you get some therapists to say, I didn't go to school to be a marketing person. I know. I didn't either. I went to school to be a therapist, and I have a moral and ethical obligation to take this information that I have that they don't have and connect them to it. I'm being a therapist. That's just my communication skills. You call it marketing, call it therapy, call it whatever you'd like. This is our moral and ethical obligation to connect the community to help. And I'm sending you out where you want to be and bring all the kids that you want to treat back here to you. That's how you teach a therapist how to be a marketer. Call it whatever you want. I call it being a therapist. You're not just a therapist in the clinic. You're a therapist when you're at the dentist office getting your teeth cleaned. You're still a licensed therapist. And I don't know if you know, if you gave advice to the dental hygienist and they got hurt because of that advice, you're liable under your license because you are a licensed therapist. So use that to your advantage. You don't stop being a therapist just because you're at a Down syndrome event. So you're not a marketing person, you're a therapist. And I want to talk about how you can be a therapist in our clinic and outside of our clinic. So kind of vet that out in the interview. Now, Lisa, a little bit to your question, what if they're already on staff? Well, you get excited with them. I learned and I'm inspired by a new approach to how to use our license. And I want to share it with you. And this is my conversation with my current teammate. And in sharing it with you, I hope I inspire and motivate you to maximize your license. And you truly get excited. They have to feel your excitement, Lisa. They have to feel it. And they have to be excited. And I'm sure you have some examples of how you've already done this, how you've already gone to a daycare, how you've already given a lecture somewhere. And you can talk about what your niche area is in therapy and all the things you've already done. And you're inviting them, not asking them, you're inviting them to join you in maximizing moral and ethically, maximizing the use of their license in your community. But make sure you're doing it around, like you don't want to take me who loves children with Down syndrome and ask me to go into the autism community and get motivated there. Now, I can give a talk in the autism community. I love those children too, but it's not what inspires me the most. If you want what inspires me the most, you're going to send me into the Down syndrome community, or I'm going to want to go there. And you're going to find other therapists that are inspired by the autism community, and you're going to get them to go there. That's the best case scenario for your practice, is have people that love the community go out there and give it more love. Now, I know you talked about changing from hourly to salary. I'm going to try and get there. You want to look at things to fill. You want to make, I like checklists. If you know me, you know this. You want to make a list of what can my therapist do? And I would say, what can any teammate do, even an administrator, when they're not treating? What can they do? And you want a whole list. And this list is used when you have a weather event, when your stats crash because it's a holiday week, when you have, I don't know what your weather events are, I don't know what causes your stats to crash. This checklist is available. What can your team do to help themselves, patients, and the company when they're not treating? And there's a whole list, all the things that you'll hear in the lemonade, how to fill the schedule between 9 and 3, all of those things. It's things like, well, let's start with the easy stuff that they'll be willing to do, that they can coordinate student interns, volunteers, right? Who's in charge of making sure that not only do you have volunteers, whether they're junior high, high school, or college level, coming through your clinic. People coming in and out of your clinic lets other people know about your clinic when they leave. Hopefully they have a great experience. Make sure that happens. How about Interns. You have to have as many interns as you can have, like OTPT speech interns from the university. That is a long-term interview for you and them, and hopefully you hire them. Interns, volunteers and interns. Who's in charge of that besides you? That's what your therapists at our salary can do. And you don't want to get into this nickel and dime thing. Oh, okay. Well, you want me in charge of posting on social media? How much are you going to pay me to do that? You want me to organize the toy closet? How much are you going to pay me to do that? You want me to go out and do a speech for the Down Syndrome Association? How much are you going to pay me to do that? That's what you get when you give 1099 and when you have hourly therapists, is you get in this discussion about money all the time. And so what is in the forefront of their mind every day? Money. That's not what we are about. You have the discussions about money. They're handled, they're over. Now we discuss, how do we build into our communities? We don't keep redefining how much we're going to get paid. Now, once a year, you're going to have a review conversation. They may or may not get raises. Whole nother conversation. There's a lemonade on that, by the way, on salary reviews. It's a pretty good one. It's old, but it hasn't changed from what we still do. Anyway, they can clean, organize, repair equipment, right? That always needs to be done in the gym. They can create theme weeks. They can create games for everyone to use in the clinic. But I will argue that the best thing that they should be doing is marketing and PR. Now, I'd love it if we could come up with another name, therapist outreach. But what we have to do is get rid of the negative connotation to marketing for a therapist. If you can get rid of that, you can use the word. I'm not turning you into a marketing person, but we have a component of our job that's marketing. And I think if you look up the word marketing, or actually it's sales, if you look up the word sales, it actually means help. That was the initial definition of sales years ago. It's evolved. But even marketing, I think, is connecting people to a product. That's what we're doing. We're using our information as a therapist to connect them to therapy. So we did go to school for marketing, believe it or not. We just learned it through the content of being a therapist. Okay, so you're sharing your clinical knowledge in the community. And you absolutely have to get therapists mentally on board and in agreement with this. And if they continue not to be in agreement with it, you really aren't succeeding. This is a problem therapist because you're not succeeding in matching them to what they want more of. That Down syndrome example. I'm more than happy to go out into the Down syndrome community if I'm going to get more of that, right? Connect them to what they want more of. Adding to your checklist on what they can do. They can help get more followers on social media. You need posters in your waiting room with QR codes that you can get more followers on your social media. You need people to create posts. That's really easy. People can create the content. There could be one person that's posting, but other people can create the content, right? You have some people that aren't comfortable in front of a camera. I'm really not either, but you get over it pretty quickly. The one thing I love to do is pair up therapists. Like let's say let's say, Erin, you're out there treating, and I come in and I videotape you treating, of course, with all the permissions of the parents, no other kids in the background, but I'm videotaping you treating. I can use those videos and pictures, if I take pictures, in posts. Now, you can talk through in the treatment, Erin, what you're doing, just as if you were talking to a parent, what you're doing, why you're helping here, why you're challenging them here, what you see that they're doing, and you can make a little snippet of a video, right? And you're probably comfortable if you're not looking right at the camera, but you're talking it through as if you're training a parent and somebody's videotaping. Usually that's okay. It's the looking at the camera that makes people feel a little bit uncomfortable. So one person's treating, one person's videotaping. There you go. They pair up. You have content. You can use your own children. Let's say you need a picture of somebody tying their shoe. Therapists can use their own children. Now, they're not at work, but they could do this at home. What I like to do is put out an email. Here's what I need pictures of. Next week, like October is PT month. So we need all these PT pictures. I need torticollis. I need a toe walker. I need, kiddo wearing a helmet. I need somebody riding a bike. I need somebody climbing a ladder. I need somebody sliding down a ladder. I need somebody on a swing. I need somebody jumping on a trampoline, standing on one foot, throwing, kicking, catching, all the PT things, right? I'm a PT, easy examples. And you put this list out and you say, I need a video and a picture of each one of these things. I'm going to hang this on the clinic door. Once you have submitted those to me with HIPAA form signed, check it, cross it off. Now, it's not like you can't have 3 kids with helmets. You could probably use them all. Maybe you're not going to use them all in October, but maybe you will. Maybe you're going to decide to do a whole week on torticollis now that you have so many pictures, if that's what you're trying to fill. But they can definitely get you video, pictures, and create posts. Also, success stories. Have your therapist go after success stories. I always ask you guys, and I love this, after I talk to you on the phone or after we have a balloon like this, I love for you to go out on the POPPEE page and put a success story if you feel inclined. And the reason why is because I want you to go through the exercise. When you're inspired and motivated, go put a success story and pay it forward, right? Now, some of you won't do it because you'll get busy. It's Friday. Oh, I don't feel like it. I'll do it Monday. Oh, I forgot. And really, what I'm trying to show you in the exercise is same for the parent. When you ask a parent to post a success story, they're busy like you. It's hard to get them to do it. So, one, you should always do it for anybody that you're interacting with because you know how valuable it is for you. So, don't be a hypocrite, I'll say, and ask them for it when you don't do it. Number one, I want you to feel how hard it is to do it, to make yourself do it. Number two, you probably want to hand them a piece of paper at the treatment session and say, while you're here, would you mind filling this out while I'm treating and signing the bottom, which gives me permission to use your words on my social media? Kind of have a captive audience. You ask them to do it right now. Aaron, we were in a training once and I stopped the training and I said, everybody go to the Facebook page. Do it right now. Do you remember when I did that? That's sort of the same exercise. When I do those exercises with you, it's really teaching you how to capture your audience and actually get the product versus just requesting the product. There's kind of a trick to it, but I don't want to interrupt because we have 8 minutes left and I still have Lisa's question to try to answer. If not, I will answer it on a post or directly to you, Lisa. Okay, so I'm trying to give you ideas of what your therapist can do with the extra time that's going to fill their schedule ultimately and fill your clinic schedule, right? Now, if your therapist likes to treat kiddos with Down syndrome, by the way, Down Syndrome Awareness Month is October as well. I put that in the POPPEE page as well. If your therapist likes treating kiddos with Down syndrome, they want to find all their Down syndrome kids on their schedule and get that posted. That attracts more parents with Down syndrome to your page, and it gets parents with Down syndrome children already on your page liking, commenting, and sharing, especially if you spend the month of October celebrating children that have Down syndrome. Kids with Down syndrome need all 3 disciplines. They're really great to have as clients. Not that I'm trying to use them. I really am trying to give them help. But don't forget, October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. The great thing about Down syndrome, they have like 3 different times in the year that you can recognize them. 321 is the, what's it called? It's the, I know, unmute, Aaron, what's it called? The date?
Well, it's Rock Your Socks.
Rock Your Socks Day because they have 3 21st chromosomes. So it's another day that you can recognize them. And their walk was it August or September? It just happened. It just happened. So it's not October. I know that. So it's 3 different times in the year. I think it was September because I think it was 2 weeks ago, but it's so close to August, it might have been in August. But anyway, there's 3 different times in the year that you can recognize Down syndrome. So get those pictures. They're so sappy about taking their picture. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun for sure. Okay. So you want to post those success stories. You want to post treatment, what you treat. Now, when you post treatment, you want to post your most involved kids. Don't always post the cutest one. Take the kiddo that has the trach, that had the cleft lip. I mean, I think they're cute, but you don't see them in the Old Navy ads, right? But the one in the wheelchair, although you're starting to see more of those, walkers, communication devices, post those kids because we want to tell those parents, we treat your kiddos. We love your kiddos. Bring them to our family. We want to help. So post the kids that have the greatest challenges, and parents love that. Let parents know that you're posting them. They'll absolutely get on and like and share, and that's going to be so many more people that see those posts. But we're getting into a lot of social media content. There is a webinar that I've shared with everybody. If you don't have it, text me on daycares and private preschools that I did a lemonade on it. And it's how to approach daycares and private preschools. Most of us kind of get in them already and do screenings. If you don't have that lemonade on it, send me a text. I'll get it to you. But tell me that's what you want. But you need to build relationships, and your therapist with their extra time can do that. You want to be very careful. If you send a 1099 therapist into a daycare, they're building their own practice. You're paying them to build their own practice. So be very, very careful. I like only to send my salaried therapists. But you want to go into the daycares and private preschools and absolutely build those relationships. Now, I want you to build relationships with doctors. Now, I'll tell you, you'll have some barriers if you don't take insurance. That's the first thing the doctor's office is going to ask you is what insurance company do you take? And when you say none, they'll go, okay, cheering you on. So anyway, they're not interested. Doctors are not interested in sending to a cash-based business unless you have a super duper duper niche that they can't find anywhere else. So you need to bill insurance if you want doctors on board. But you truly want to build relationships in this community. You want to build relationships in all the parent groups, preschoolers, neighborhood. You know how like in our I'm sure it's around you too, but every neighborhood has its own Facebook group. You want to be in all of those. Like preschool, kindergarten readiness, the hot button all the time. They're always asking questions about that. You want to be in all of those groups. You want to be active in those groups and use social media for good and put content out there. So I will argue that the fear, we're going to get rid of fear and we're going to go with know how. Absolutely. You want full schedules. Now, Lisa, let me try to get to what if your therapists are currently hourly and you want to switch them over to salary? Well, the answer to that question is this. If you understand, like if they're 1099, they think they're getting paid a lot of money. They're not, they're hourly. Okay, 1099, they have to pay all their own taxes. So you really got to clear that up because 1099 to salary, no brainer, way better. Hourly, people that are hourly don't tend to get full benefit packages. Do you offer them full benefit packages, paid time off? Yeah, that's the paid time off you do offer them. So you have to be careful that you're not over offering to an hourly person. So you're paying them to have non-treating hours. Most people, when you're hourly, you don't get PTO. You don't get other benefits. You don't get 401k. You don't get insurance, those kinds of things. You don't get Con Ed. What you want to do is you want to put together a full package and you want to make it so favorable. I'm going to pay you whether you're treating or not. But you have these other obligations, but I'm going to pay you whether you hit our targets or not. You're going to have a consistent income coming in. And because I'm going to bonus you, I hope, you're going to have control over your income because of the bonus. So it's a whole package you need to put together. Lisa, I'd say let's jump on a call and let's chat this out and see what we can get to with your specific ideas. Okay, yeah, awesome. Find that Calendly, get on it. But that, I mean, that's my short answer. It's really hard. I probably could spend a lot more time on
The long answer was like money. Like if you're offering them this hourly rate, how does that hourly transfer into a salary rate? And that's
it is money, but there's benefits too, which are money.
right.
So I want you to have a whole package and you have to understand how are competitors paying them. But you're also going to hold them to a schedule, which some people don't want. Now they can pick their schedule as long as they can fill it. Like let's say they only want to work 20 hours. You can pick your schedule as long as you can fill it. So the argument is that they only have to be half full or less than half full in order for you to be able to afford them. So you can afford them. And this pattern of a salaried therapist keeps you consistently growing because you know that when a therapist is half full, you can start recruiting for another therapist of that discipline because you're going to get them full by the time you bring on another therapist. And you only have to have that second therapist or third, fourth, half full. So it keeps you not growing this wait list and looking for a therapist after you needed them. It takes away stressors, but you have to get the know-how behind it to make sure that you can keep that cycle going and you're consistently handling your wait list. You're consistently driving in the right patients to fill them. And you've got such a great salary package that you're competitive with the competitors and they're going to choose you because you have the best culture and you have bonuses in place. So they have control over their salary. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I know we raced through it, but I hope I'm going to try. I don't know if I can put all these links in again. I'm going to try for anybody that missed it. See if it'll let me do all of them. Yeah, it'll let me. Anyway, those are all the links that I had posted earlier. I'll put my contact information in there again. If you have more questions, I'm happy to jump on a call with you. Again, it's free. It's no cost to you. Why not? Let's do it. Let's jump on. Let's talk about your practice and let's see how I can push you guys forward. Thanks for the time today. Love to see any good news on our POPPEE page. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.